This is Cinema Analytics. This is the launch of a new channel where we'll be looking at movies and deep diving into the box office grosses. Today, we're going to launch the channel off with a look at the performance of Black Panther's international box office. We're going to take a look and see exactly how Black Panther performed in markets outside of North America, outside of the US and Canada, that is. And hopefully we'll get some insights into it and discuss it a little bit. All of the reports that you're going to see should be made available on Tableau Public. Just take a look at the links below the video and follow those links and they'll take you to the report. And once again today we're going to start off looking at the international box office performance of Black Panther. The data in this report includes the box office grosses of Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok. All right, so right now we have a map here with blue dots and also with gray dots. The blue dots indicate the territories, the countries where Black Panther overperformed relative to the other territories, and the gray dots are where Black Panther underperformed. And you can just generally see here that in Western Europe, Black Panther overperformed relative to the other three films, whereas in Eastern Europe, it underperformed. You can also see where it overperformed in Southeast Asia as compared to the other films, and also over here in South America and Brazil. So one of the places, Colombia, also overperformed, and you can see Mexico also overperformed relative to the other films. And I can just hover over one of these dots right here, and I can see the actual gross that Black Panther acquired in that territory. I can also see the gross of all four films. That's 5,723,493. And also I can see that Black Panther, the percentage of gross that Black Panther acquired out of the four films is 36%. And I can do that for any of those dots. I can even go to the gray dots and I can see the same thing. You can see that Italy is listed as being underperforming for Black Panther, and the percentage of all four films is 24%. I also want to note that in Russia and in China, you can see that both of those territories are listed as underperforming, as well as India and Japan. And that's going to come into play in just a little bit, but we can go ahead and look at what those percentages are. In China, Black Panther is 24% of the four films, and Russia is 22%, and India is 29%, and in Japan, 24%. Now, this 29% in India is very good. The reason why you see a gray dot here is because one of the other three movies, performed just a little bit better than Black Panther. All right, so now we're once again looking at Black Panther's gross as a percentage of all four films. This time, all the territories are shaded in with a color. So dark red indicates a territory where Black Panther's percentage of all four films is low. And the dark green areas, once again, as we can see in Western Europe and in Colombia and Brazil, and also in Australia, New Zealand, and India, is either dark green to light green. And you can see that those percentages, once again, 31% in Brazil, 31% also in Australia, India again with 29%. And the same for a lot of these other territories, Finland, Sweden, and Norway, all over 30%. That's very good. You can see that in Russia and in China that the percentages are a little bit less, hence the color. 22% in Russia, 24% in China, and that just gives you a nice, quick visual indication of how Black Panther performed compared to the other three films. Right, and one of the things that I want to highlight here is how well Black Panther performed in South Africa as a percentage of all four films. You can see it's 57% there. You notice when I click on it, a lot of these, for instance, Russia and China, they got a lot darker, and that's because I previously here I did not include the data from South Africa, and because it skews the data quite a bit when you look at it visually. But here I'm including South Africa, so everything is going to a lower end of the spectrum, and you can really see how much it affects the rest of the chart. But this is just to highlight how well Black Panther performed in South Africa compared to the other three films. I also want to note that even though you see, these areas like in Russia and India and also down here in Argentina, these light red areas, pinkish areas, indicating that Black Panther had a smaller share. With the exception of Venezuela, all these other territories, Black Panther's share was no less than 21%. Venezuela is the only exception where, once again, it only garnered 11% share of all four films. But everywhere else, Black Panther scored at least 21% share of those four films. Now we're looking at a chart with Black Panther's total gross in the different territories. It's very obvious here to see that China provided the most of that international gross at 105 million, followed by the UK with 70,500,000. And in this chart here, you can see that all the other territories are shaded either orange to light to dark red. And that's really happening because this the China gross is so large that it's really skewing the data, much in the same way that South Africa skewed the chart when we were looking at Black Panther's percentage. Here, China, and to a lesser degree, the UK are skewing the data so that everything else is in a orange to red to dark red shade. So what we can do here is I can just go in here and select China and exclude it from the data set. Now that changes the color scheme a little bit, and you can see now that South Korea, which was orange color before, now it's light green, and we can hover over and see it was 42 million, which is a very, very nice sum of Black Panther's take over there. And now we get a much better picture once we exclude China out of the picture. But when we did see the 100 million from China, also recall that Black Panther's percentage of the gross for the four films in China was around 20, I think it was like 24% maybe. Now the map is displaying the total gross of all Marvel films international. So this does not include domestic North America, only international. And this data set is also excluding China because it would skew the chart again. So China is excluded from this particular data set. And as you can see, the top territories, you have the dark green area here, that's the UK. We also have Brazil, Australia, and also South Korea is also in the green here. And every other territory here is either the light pinkish color here, which is the Soviet Union, and we have dark red areas over here, which are the smaller European countries. And if you look at these large territories, the ones that are in the dark green to light green, Black Panther only overperformed compared to the other films in the UK. So it just kind of highlights that Black Panther was able to overperform in other countries besides the United States. And secondly, that if it had performed a bit better in some of these larger territories, then its total to foreign take would have been much higher than it actually is now, and it would not have skewed the domestic to international numbers as much as it did. So there are a few other slides on this report. If you wanted to take a look at each country's gross for the four films, you can select that particular tab to view that data set. You can also see the raw data as well. And you can also see the raw data for the over and underperforming rank. That's all in the report also. And as I said earlier, this report is available on Tableau Public. I will include the link below. So if you want to take a closer look at it, just follow that link and have fun looking at the data. So that's it for now. I'll have other analytical reports coming up very soon, so please subscribe